Happy Monday, all of you amazing humans. Episode 3 of the Chronic Presence podcast. I am JC. I am your host, and I decided I was really tired of talking about myself after the first 2 episodes. I'll get to other bits and pieces of my healing journey. But today I want to take probably 10 minutes and share actual practices, things that you can do for yourself in your day to day life that can help you build some of the mindsets and the internal freedom, the tools, and the resilience that I have talked about in my last 2 videos. So, as you know, if you've seen the other episodes, I am a counseling therapist by trade. I also have a master level Reiki certification. I have an advanced foot reflexology certification. I have done trainings in somatic therapy specifically, internal family systems specifically, and different forms of meditation, breath work, and manifestation practices. So those are just the things that I have certifications in. I love to learn. So I read up on new topics, new avenues. I do research on up and coming healing modalities all the time. But like I mentioned in episode 1, where the healing really started for me in terms of breaking free of old identities and old ways of being was when I stopped looking externally for the right modality, the right practitioner, the right healing method. And I actually just started being the healing method for myself. And that's what I really want to share with you guys today. All forms of pain and stress and addiction stem from, at their core, an avoidance of feeling. We could go down that rabbit hole forever, but if you are strung out, if you're fatigued all the time, if you are turning to substances or behaviors in a compulsive manner, it's because sitting with what you feel in your body seems dangerous to you on some conscious or subconscious level. And the quickest way out of that fear is into it. So I have developed a journaling practice, and I'm going to have a caveat to that in a moment, but I have developed a journaling practice that I call Pass the Pen. And I teach this to clients all the time. I share it with friends. I do it with group therapy in my brick and mortar practice, as well as the Chronic Presence mentorship brand that I do with business founders. And it doesn't actually matter what people are going through. If they commit to the practice, they experience life altering changes. And I mean life altering changes. So, the idea behind this practice is that we all have parts within us that appear to be conflicting, either conflicting with our true desires, or they are conflicting with our belief systems, or they are conflicting with each other internally. A very simple way to, or example for that is you wake up in the morning and a part of you says, get up and go to the gym. And another part of you says, I would rather sleep and get more rest. When we spend all of our time with these internal conflicts, we end up exhausted. We end up tense. We end up in this kind of pulled apart or butting head state. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. We have to escape from it. That's why like escapism entertainment becomes such a big thing, or escapism in the form of addictive patterns, distractive patterns, scrolling on social media, having a glass or four of wine every night. Um, just anything that pulls you away from yourself. And so in the Pass the Pen practice, pass the pen practice, say that a few times in a row. What I have people do is a really simple process. The first step is to identify where the conflict is within you. What do you feel conflicted or unsettled about? The second step is to name the conflicting parts. There will always be at least two, otherwise, it wouldn't be a conflict. There could be more than two. The third step is the pass the pen. Each of the parts that you identified are given the pen in this journaling practice, and you set a 15-minute timer. And for that 15 minutes, that part gets to speak and say everything that it has ever wanted to say without a single interruption or another part trying to calm it down. You are not allowed to tell the part that it's wrong. You are not allowed to tell the part that it's dangerous. The part actually just gets the pen and it vents or it cries or it explains itself or it justifies its actions. The part itself is just given all of that space and it is heard. That practice is done for each of the conflicting parts. 15 minutes might be more than you need. 15 minutes might be less than you need for an individual part, but it's just a guideline. And the way that I tell people, you're done, not done forever, but done for that practice, is you'll actually experience what I call a drop in your body. So as you are journaling, you'll feel tension rise, you'll feel emotion ebb and flow. And at some point in this practice, inevitably, you feel this weight drop off of you. You feel a sigh of relief move through your whole body. That is the drop where you know your nervous system has processed what it needs to process. Everyone's experience is going to be different in terms of how many parts there are, how long each of those parts need to vent. You may have to revisit this 3 or 4 days in a row for a certain part to actually feel as if it's been heard and given the space it needs to drop. That's okay. After you have done that, you'll only understand fully what this means if you choose to undertake this practice and actually experience it for yourself. But there will be a moment wherein you come to understand that what you thought were a bunch of conflicting parts are actually just one you who all have the same underlying desire. They may be conflicted on what they think the best path to get there is. If a part of you says, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym, and a part of you says, stay in bed and sleep, those parts appear on the surface to be conflicting and in conflict with each other. When each of them is given a full processing space, at the end of the day, what you realize is underneath all of it, those voices are both trying to give you what you need to be healthy. What happens when you understand the underlying motive of these various parts is that you can live in harmony with them and you can allow them to inform your actions with wisdom and discernment instead of feeling like you're constantly in battle with yourself. There might be days where the part that says, I need more sleep instead of the gym, is actually the wise, discerning part. But if you are so locked into the fact that sleeping in makes you lazy, uncommitted, undisciplined, you might never give yourself the rest required for recovery. You can't work out aggressively 7 days a week for 2 months straight and expect your body to keep up. Rest and recovery is a requirement. That's just one very practical and easy example of how these parts can show up, where they're trying to work together, but the conditioning that you've developed throughout your life actually is what's creating conflict in them. If you have conditioning saying that sleeping in makes you lazy, it's going to conflict with that wise, discerning part that says, you're exhausted, I need you to rest. If you have conditioning saying that working hard is bad for whatever reason, then the part of you that says get up early and go to the gym, you'll judge that and say you're trying to prove yourself, or why can't you just be happy the way you are? So what this does is it allows you to actually witness the conditioning that you've experienced and undergone throughout your life from a different perspective. It allows all of these emotionally charged inner voices to be given an outlet so that the charge no longer activates you and your body in such an uncomfortable way. And more importantly, it teaches you that none of these parts are malicious. And so you stop having a relationship of fear and judgment towards your own self, and you're able to listen. I'm going to go back to those words again, with discernment and wisdom, in such a way that you're living in harmony throughout the ebbs and flows of your life. This practice has changed my life. It's also the accumulation of many, many, many years of a variety of practices that have all attempted to get to this inner wisdom, this inner discernment, and this degree of acceptance of various parts. So the reason that I want to share it is because it really can, when it's embraced, surpass a lot of the more surface level healing processes that might touch 10% of what's going on, or 20% of what's going on, or 2% of what's going on. And this is a way of really addressing holistically the internal landscape that is currently possibly creating discomfort, discontent, and distress within you. And that, my lovely friends, is what I've got for you today. I would love more than anything in the world if you guys would comment on this or any of my previous episodes with questions that you specifically have about my journey, practices I've used, or my perspective on certain aspects of healing in general, because I really do want to be speaking to the people who are listening. So I love you all deeply, and I'm happy to be here.